heading to the next conversation now. And we're talking about the Ruto scorecard at 3, but from a youth perspective with Wakili, a quick one. His name is Tekin, Saeko, Fidel. And of course, before we get into anything, let me welcome you with the quote. Usually Janet gives the quote, but she left it to me. She said, "I trust you, Mariam, you can do this." And today's quote was given by Mwalimu Julius Nyerere in 1962. He was speaking at the University of Dar es Salaam's inaugural lecture. The very first lecture. He said, "If you don't understand yourself, you will not understand your politics. If you don't understand yourself, you will not understand your politics." Yeah. What does that speak to you?
I think the symbolism with that, I think, especially for University of Dar es Salaam, it has produced public figures who have done tremendous change. I think for us, we have the former Chief Justice, Professor William Tunga, and what they've gone to do with whatever they learned is, being an activist and a Chief Justice, you have impact with your decision, with your career, and you get to see what they have done over years. So I think for me, being politically aware is the sense that you have that personal rallying call to have positive change within your space, within the community that you're in.
Do you think Kenyans are politically aware?
Yes, but I would say in the sense that we are influenced by very nonsensical. I would say nonsensical factors.
Like?
For instance, I would... you talk about people who get into politics, and you find these are questionable characters, and you ask people, why do you want to vote for this guy? He has a big house. He has a big car. So
he dishes out lots of cash.
Lots of cash.
So is that does that show that we are politically aware?
Or the opposite?
No. Okay. The thing is, we're interested in politics, but we're interested in the wrong things. Societies that are not interested in politics, it's really hard to even get them to get participating.
So we're politically aware. It's a choice. It's almost an active choice, right? The awareness is there. We're choosing. Okay. Let's get into Ruto at 3. No, Eric, I know you agree. To
me, Kenyans are just, I don't know. I
very interesting.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Let's get into the Ruto at 3 scorecard from a youth perspective. Let me start with some context setting, which is a lot of political apathy around 2022 with young people. There was not a lot of involvement. When it came to voting as well, a lot of young people stayed away from the ballot. Those who had just turned 18, for those who it was their first time voting, even those who maybe their second time, they just said, you know what, I don't see a candidate for me, or I don't feel represented here. Therefore, I'm staying out. And by candidate, they meant the president. And then now fast forward 3 years later, suddenly we've become very clever in the best of ways as young people. Now we've understood that everything is political and there's no escaping it. Or the last 2 years have been a good show of that, especially when it comes to our political participation. But from a young person's point of view, rate President William Ruto's tenure out of 10 and give us why you're giving that number.
Okay, out of 10, I would say 4 at best. And the thing you're talking about youths, for us, we were shielded. When we were younger, I think below 18, you're shielded from so many things. So you don't really relate to so many things, and you say politics does not affect me. And I think what we've seen
like
Israel is new also. And from 2022 to 2024, we've seen that change, because once you get exposed to certain aspects, then you get to have a different understanding. You get to see that maybe it's affecting me. Maybe it's affecting me, because now it went into our education, it went into our health, it went into our food, and you see those things that we encounter every day. So we get to now start questioning ourselves. Okay, maybe we did make a mistake, and that's why you saw that uprising in 2024, because I think we're caught by surprise that if we don't do something about it, then we're going to miss out. Yeah.
True. Okay. 4 out of 10.
4.
You need grade gani?
You see,
Not just, do you know CBE grading?
no.
Below expectation.
That's B, C?
Approaching, meeting, exceeding. So this is approaching.
This is approaching.
Approaching expectation.
Yeah.
So whose expectation are we judging him by?
I'll talk about my
expectation.
My expectation.
What would he have done for him to score above 8 for you?
First of all, when it comes to governance, it's all about service. And for service, you need to have the right people in place. So one thing I would say he got wrong is having the wrong people in place. Because we saw the normal things that were happening before, political rewards, and you have key ministries with people that you have who have questionable characters. We have institutions, independent committees, independent commissions that are created by the Constitution, and you have political rewards in such places. You see, so those things, they do not produce anything. So you might have good plans, you might have good policies, but if you don't have the right people, you're not going to get results.
You know, the ones that we can judge him directly over are Cabinet Secretary and Principal Secretary. Those commissions, the President just names, formally appoints names that are provided to him by a panel that is independent, set out in law on how to pick up these people, right? Yeah. So it's not the President who has picked commissioners for whatever, NCIC or IPOA. It's an independent process that picks these people.
Well, our constitution is very presidential in the sense that the president has a hand in nearly everything. Appointments, forwarding names, and we're not. I think we're not living in utopia. We know what happens here. Names get forwarded, and you've had people talking about shares, and we were supposed to be granted this, or supposed to be given this post, but we never got it. And names get forwarded to State House for nomination, and then they get nominated by the president. Obviously, there is another vetting panel through the parliament. And because we have this presidential system, nearly everything goes by State House. So as much as there are also other people to be responsible for whatever happens, the buck stops with the president. And the people around him, the people around him also make decisions with him, and it is him to take the responsibility. So at the end of the day, we'll always ask the president questions, not the other people.
Tekin, if I take you back into where we started, whether Kenyans are politically aware, right? So Kenyans are the ones who've elected all these leaders, including the president. And the one place where people are vetted, all those, the cabinet secretaries, the principal secretaries, commissioners, chairpersons of commissions and all, they are vetted in Parliament. And Parliament looks at them and, yes, knowing our politics, they go with giving the president his skunk, if that's what he wanted. Would we say that the problem is solely at the president's door, or does it start with how we put the people who are supposed to be vetting these people for us?
The Parliament is an enabler, in the sense that, you know, even you had when the current finance minister was saying, let's give Ruto his skunk. But you see, the Parliament is a representative of the people. You have to be making decisions for the best interest of the people. So if you know this is a skunk, why are you approving that? It's not the best interest of the people. So they've enabled whatever mistakes that have happened. Obviously, they've had good moments. We have had significantly good laws that have been passed recently. I would give them that. But some of the mistakes also, they take responsibility. But they've enabled, because their responsibility as legislators is to, legislate and also oversight the government. So they have the mandate, they are the voice of the people, they are the eyes of the people. Yeah.
I want to dive into that from a legislation perspective. Key wins, legislation, like you said, you know what, you're doing your job right here. Good, tick. And ones that are red flags, in your view? I'll
start with the good ones. We've seen certain areas on data protection and digital spaces, which affect youth mostly. And we've seen there have been an interest in the parliament to understand what it is really and have laws that are going to help in that. I think when we talk about now the punitive ones, we've seen now issues to do with taxation and adding too many taxes, trying to get a little bit from everywhere. And I think what that does is it takes away from the simple little aspects of people's lives, because small margins for business people, for entrepreneurs, it's the small margins that make differences. So those ones, I would say, maybe we'd have issues with that. And also, we've had concerns about our privacies. There have been attempts to introduce bills that are questionable, and we've seen the Law Society of Kenya and other people going to court to challenge that. So, I mean, it's an institution that has interest also, and when you talk about interest, it's not even their own interest. We have lobbyists who have outside persons who have interest, so they will try to introduce things. So it's a normal thing with Parliament. Yeah.
It's a normal thing with Parliament.
Yeah.
Goes back still to then who holds Parliament in check and how do they hold Parliament in check? It should be the people, right?
Yeah.
Then the how is the next question. How do you hold these people in check? Because once they're in there, they are cronies, basically, of their parties and their party leaders.
I mean, sadly, the only effective way we can hold them to account is after 5 years. That's the most effective way, because we've seen attempts to recall members of parliament, but we don't have a working framework for that. Someone challenged Article 35 of the Election Act, and now IBC will tell you we don't have a framework, so they're protected.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Do we not have a framework for recalling MPs? Do we extrapolate from the framework for recalling MCAs? If I'm not wrong, there's one that is available in the law.
It's for MCAs.
Is it for MCAs?
Yeah, the one for MPs was challenged.
It's there, but it's convoluted.
Yeah.
In the sense,
in various ways. Remember when Akina Shakira were collecting signatures for Esther Passaris?
Yeah.
Now there's a whole issue of, do you take this to the IEBC for verification of signatures? Where do you go? So I think that's what you're alluding to, Tekin, that there's so much argument around what's the actual process of recalling a member of parliament. How many signatures? How do you verify those? Because those signatures have got to be signatures of voters in that constituency. How do you then tell that these are the voters in that constituency? At what point do you go to the IEBC? At what point do you come back? It's a back and forth, and that's why I like what Kina Shakira were trying to do, because it will test it and show us whether it works.
I think they're currently in court,
or it doesn't work. It was taken to court to get the interpretation.
Okay.
What is the way to go in terms of this? I want to just even borrowing from this and what else we are saying, look at how we say we judge our politicians. Because there are those like you who will say, I will give this presidency 4 out of 10. There are those who will say, I'll give it 6 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Others will even go and say 10 out of 10. Maybe I'm very happy. Yeah. What do we base it on? And I want to come into our structure of how we've organized our politics in this country. And we were talking about that with Mariam in the morning by asking this thing of leaders going to State House. Kisii leaders, Gusii leaders were in State House the other day. Murang'a leaders were in State House, and so on and so forth. Why are they going to the president? Why is the president promising development in their region? I mean, what's this all about? But that's the structure of our politics. Either we've structured ourselves, there's a big man syndrome, so we all, sort of worship the big man.
Okay.
How we organize in terms of tribe, region, clan, and so on. And so even when we are electing, we are not electing based on merit. We are electing based on familiarity. This belongs to my clan. This belongs to my tribe. This belongs to my region. this belongs, and this is what I'm feeling. This one now, we've even introduced religion now into it. I feel that I connect with this person because he's a Christian like me. We've introduced those things. So is it really fair to judge the person instead of judging ourselves?
Well, first of all, I mean, I don't want to look like I'm just blaming the president also. He was the subject of the discussion. But also there are many other factors, and I think I'll get into many of them. For the people, I mean, we've seen people saying on social media and in other spaces that our leaders are a reflection of the people. And when we started, I said we look at very trivial things and nonsensical things. And they take advantage, obviously, of that because people have interest. When you have political interest, you look at your electorate and you see what can you offer. And what you can offer is what they want. And when they want 200 shillings, you'll offer 200 shillings. You will not tell them, I'm going to build you roads and everything. And what Eric has said, especially for people going to status, Kenya has perfected this thing called performative governance, that I want to be seen as doing something. So I want you to see that I'm buying you things, I'll promise you things, and big things. And people clap for that, and people want that. What we really don't demand as a people is we do not demand strategic governance, because there are certain developments that, if done right, they'll have larger impacts. We've seen over the years certain key developments that have been done. For instance, the Thika Road. It has opened a certain region. We have LAPSET. We have things to do with the SGR. And you see, when you have that kind of governance, then it's not about the people. It's not about my community. It's not about my tribe. It's about how what you do affects me and my livelihood. Yeah.
Okay. There was the question of impartiality of any political actor, any person. First of all, kuna mtu amesema, whoa, job jury is asking, where is Janu? She reads our comments aloud. Eric na Maria wametusahau. I'm trying to wave from behind. Nimekuona, I've seen you. But Charles Ndungu says, Saturday was a disappointing day. For a fraternity that should be impartial, was present at State House to drum up support for the government and receive tokens. What a shame. And that's a story. It doesn't even matter what fraternity was at State House on Saturday. It's the story of every other day, right? So impartiality does not exist in our politics the way it's set up. Is there a way to work around it? And have young people found a hack to work around this tokenism of ours?
I think the way around it is to believe in systems. Because we do not believe in systems. We believe in we will focus more on the person and not the system. So we believe that once this person gets there, then it's... But the key thing is the system, so that when people come, they fit in the system. And for young people, what you've seen is we question things a lot. And it's not just in political spaces. You've had Gen Zs are very hard to work with. But it's not because we are hard to work with. We question things. Why are you making this decision? What's the rationale around that? And I think the more you make questions, the more you get answers, the more you get solutions, and the more you weed out bad results. So, I mean, I think we need to embrace that aspect of asking questions. And we had this debate about the young generation and the old generation, and how we are problematic, and how we kept on being asked, what do you want? What do you want? But you know, when you have responsibility as a leader, you always need to have answers for questions to the people you are responsible to. So when we ask questions, sometimes we don't have answers to them because we want to understand, but sometimes we also have answers to them, and we feel like there's a way you could do it. So I think also for us, it's just being involved in decision making, and you've seen us protest a lot about public participation, and you've seen there's been a surge in sending comments and comments to the parliament on certain bills. And that's just part of what we want, to have a voice in making decisions.
Okay.
It's accountability.
Yeah.
Tekin, you sound like, you're a well knowledgeable person in terms of these things and politics and all. From your circles, are people as engaged? I mean, your circle is not 10 people. I'm just thinking, you've just come from the Kenya School of Law, a group of students, the people that you engage in your social spaces and all. Are they engaged politically? Are they asking those questions that you're saying, let's ask questions, let's understand?
Yes, they are. I think just not even politically, even within the institutions I've been in, the Kenya School of Law, you get certain questions. I remember when we were getting in, we were being told help is not being issued to law students, which used to be there. And there was a big fuss about it, asking questions to the director, why is it not there? And we were being told about budget cuts. So, and I've seen also this trend with people around me where, we're not friends for not talking about politics. And I've seen these people ask, there are certain times, obviously, I'm not going to say about them, but there are certain times when you meet someone and then they say, and then it's like what do you call this?
It's an icebreaker.
Yeah, it's an icebreaker. It's a greeting.
You can say one
it's
time,
something
it's okay.
that we relate to.
Yeah.
And it just shows how we are engaged. We're trying to understand. Obviously, for most people, it's new also. So sometimes it's really hard to really get deeper into it. For someone like me, I'm a law student. I've been in law. I've also tried politics in law school and in campus. So my personal interest in politics was way bigger than some of them. But I've seen a change with people I have never thought they would ever talk about politics.
That they never engage in politics. I can tell you that with time, with age, more and more people start talking politics. The content, the quality of that talk is what matters.
True.
Yeah.
If you go into any space and you always tell this, Mariam, the way to start a conversation is, hey, na hii serikali. And the conversation, that has always been the case.
You true.
Yeah, and even how you identify. If someone comes and says, I am from a certain constituency, you start by connecting that with a member of parliament for that area. Like, nyinyi ni watu wa, right?
Yeah.
If now you say you are from this county, Governor wenu ni nani? People have that kind of political engagement.
Very true.
Yeah.
But does it translate to anything beyond that?
Anything
beyond just placing you in your area, knowing that you're the guys who are from Embu, so yours is, Cecily Mbarire, Sawa, you're from Bere, huko ndio mnafanya by-election. Sasa nani atachukua?
Waruko, ama weni
Waruko.
I'm sure people don't know they have by-elections back at home.
They don't.
I've not even had that conversation.
So then, that speaks to what Eric is saying. How much of this is real versus just anecdotal? It's so, like even the president said, you can say must go every day, but at the end of the day, what are you doing? So then you can ask, umetoka wapi ama wewe ndio wa kwa Mbarire, but after that, what does it translate to? And even before you answer that, student politics, because you vied. I'm always thinking that the fix starts there for anyone in university, in higher education, in a tertiary institution. How you do your student politics will be indicative of how national politics will be. And a lot of people graduate and go along that pipeline. So when you vied, was your campaign issue-based? Your competitors, were their campaigns issue-based? Or was it more of a popularity contest, a money contest, populist something? The administration has said, we will fix. You know how it's done.
Yeah. First, I lost that election for good reason. When I got into that race, I wanted. First of all, I was riding on my reputation and what I had achieved in school,
which is
Well, I'm a social butterfly. I'm always doing things. I'm always representing the school. I was in Kabarak Law School. So we used to do a lot of things and represent the school and Africa. And first, that was my reputation. I feel like that's a first instance. What do you offer? Who are you? Do you have any meaningful thing to offer? So that's the first thing. Second thing is I had plans, obviously. When I got there, obviously it's a popularity contest. And this is a problem I had with that particular campaign. I remember my former lecturer is called Mr. Sipala. He once called me and he told me, but Tekin, you are a scholar. You do a lot of research. I've never thought of you to be a politician. And he was very worried.
He's not understanding.
Yeah, he was very worried.
Mtu wa vitabu unataka kuingia siasa.
Yeah, he was very worried.
Yes.
Because you could see in school people working in groups and they have reflectors, they have banners, and they're singing. And it's a whole popularity, and I remember there's a moment I was vying, and people came to me and they said, Tekin, buy us something, buy us drinks.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was like wondering, okay. Okay.
Budget yangu inakubali.
Okay, I'm a student.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
You're a student who's now meant to be financing other students.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it. And I think, like you said, as a generation also, we have the danger of following trends. Like, this is a trend. So saying one term is a trend. And we just say it for the sake of saying it because we also want to fit in. And I think maybe we lose the track. You don't really get to question things from a point of merit, from a point of substance, but you're just questioning because you want to be part of the people who question, and you don't want to also look like you're politically incorrect.
Right.
Yeah.
You just want, you're part of the whatever the cool kids are saying.
Yeah.
If they're saying
what are
one
the cool
term,
kids saying?
if you're saying one term, hata unasema one term. Wakisema two term, hata unasema two term. But even now, from the student politics perspective, again, whoever got elected, have they been held accountable? Because I'm trying to see, these are the young people who are going to be at the ballot in 2027. Yes.
Well, for me, I would say I'm one of the people who used to question everything. I questioned administration, I used to question student leaders, and also using my voice also to just be part of, that offering solutions. Because since I was a figure in school, they could approach me and ask me questions. So I wasn't just criticizing for the sake of criticizing, but also going on the side and telling them, well, if you do this way, then it would work. And I'm very appreciative. Even the person who won against me, he used to consult a lot. And I think that's something that we really need to embrace. We really don't have just to question things every day. Try and access your MP. They have offices here in town. Go to them. Yeah, say what you can do.
Ingia KICC. Knock to office mbili tatu umepata.
Try get their numbers. Even send them messages and say, not the kusalimia every day, but just say, I come from Mount Elgon. And we have issues with roads. And I know for a fact that if those roads are made, it's going to open key places because people do a lot of farming those sides. Yeah. And I can tell you, there are moments people have a lot of potatoes in the farm, but just transporting the potatoes from the farm to the market, it's hard. And you have to spend a lot. And when you spend a lot, it means it's going to translate in the prices of those commodities.
Right.
But if that road is constructed very well, then we're not going to have issues of overpricing, that food is up. So,
maybe we'll say cash crop ya Mount Elgon ni waru for a change.
Yeah, and maize. And so this is something you just text, you can text or email, and you say, I feel like if you lobby for the road to be done, then you're going to open a key area. There are certain things also. I've seen the government is trying to deal with, coming up with ICT hub centers. But you see that's not really impactful in a sense, because it's really about performative governance. How about you suggest to the government that instead of doing this, approach service providers like Safaricom and tell them, make internet accessible. if it's cheap, I can access it from my house. I don't need to leave my house and go to an ICT hub. I can access it.
Performative governance.
Yeah, because we want to see a building.
Yes.
If you see a building, then it shows that you are doing something.
It has a plaque. Opened by. On this day.
And you can say we've opened 3,000.
You saw that debate about president opening everything. And we really need substance.
Do you think people would understand though that fine, there's no 3,000 ICT hubs that have been opened across the country, but for 10 bob I can now get 1 GB of data, and the connectivity is across the country. There's also phones that are made in Kenya, produced in Kenya, so I can buy it lipa pole pole for 5K, 10K. It's a smartphone. I have a lot of data for a small amount of money, and things are good. Do you think people will then relate that to, hey, Rais amefanya kazi? Or they want to, or the ICT hub is,
I think it's the impact that is going to drive the conversation, because satisfaction comes from results. So if you have better results, then you kind of say, okay, maybe it's doing something. And I think when we talk about presidency, even myself here, I am judging the president harshly, and there are so many other aspects that affect our community and economy. Because I'm a lawyer, but I'm also interested in economics, and there are macroeconomic indicators that show you the trajectory of things. And when you look at that from 2022 to 2025, for instance, the GDP of Kenya, there has been, it was at 4.9. It went to 5.6. And then intervene. Right now, we're being projected to go about 5.6. And it gets to also show you that there has been a certain level of, trajectory going upwards, and
a stable growth.
Yeah, a stable growth, and then obviously 2024, we know what happened. And also. When you also look at what do you call this, inflation rates and the consumer price index, it's been stable. Right now, we're being told that food has gone down, and I think I've never really understood the reason behind politicians saying economy iko sawa, unga saizi iko. Yeah, we use unga so much as an indicator, but for that there's so much. Because with the things that I access in the normal kiosk, it's not just unga. I'll go look at some oil. I'll try to get food.
Yeah. In short, si tunasonga ugali alafu unalala.
Alafu nakula na nini.
This is fair.
Yeah.
Then I always think of it like this as well. And globally, they're just things that are indices, and they're just indicators of the economy, and people use them as a baseline. For us, I think it's the UNGA index. Globally, they have theirs as well. So then I get that part, but I do also understand that, yes, it's being used to almost, kusafisha kote. It's like, okay,
because hii imeshuka.
Kila kitu
tuko sawa. And we've had salt going up. And I think
chumvi imepanda bei.
I don't know, someone told me it's the first time salt imepanda.
Unajua chumvi mtu nunua once a year.
I don't think that is even something I would be concerned about, because I usually just go pick the big one, because I know it's not more than 100.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I mean, the indicators are there for the people to see. Like, we can talk about the numbers. We can talk about how the president has stabilized the dollar, the Kenyan shilling against the dollar. But what is the impact?
What do people feel?
What do people feel?
I think that, in a way, answers the question that Mariam had asked you. Because if you want people to feel the impact, it's going to take you longer. Right? So you may have been doing all those things that, you have come up with a regulation and told Communications Authority, can you ensure that the mobile network operators have sufficient strong network that is reachable to everybody across, look at 80%, and that's actually long. Okay? But people will not look at all those things that now I'm able to actually access 4G network uko inside Mount Elgon, or have 5G network in Mount Elgon. They will not connect that to the administration. By the time they do that, they'll have voted you out.
Yeah, completely.
Yes. So the thing they'll want to see is that you have put something there written internet ya jamii. And a mask.
Opened by.
Yes, and you can go in there now to make internet for free. That they'll connect.
Yeah.
So how do we change from brick and mortar way of judging to those things that actually we look at, this is what is being done, this is the likely impact. Impact is not now, but I can already see how this is going to change. Right?
Yeah.
As you respond to that, let me just read some comments. And hasa tumembo tusome comments kwa wingi. So Cisco official says, as a youth, we feel most shows with Ruto are full of politics, but little on real issues like jobs, cost of living, education. We need action, not repeated promises to break the cycle. And Next Gen Tekin says, a government that practices accountability strengthens democracy, while one that avoids it risks losing the trust of its people. Emmanuel Templar says the World Bank or IMF said something that ails Ruto and previous regimes. Are their expenditures the best use of money? Government seems to be doing a lot of SHA, Hustler Fund, etc. The issue should be the value for money. In what areas are you spending the money that you're spending? It's not the fact that you are spending, that your budget is now growing to 4.2 or 4.5 trillion shillings. It's where
Budget will grow.
It's where is the money actually being spent and what effect is it having
Makes
on the
sense.
economy?
Because then even from a personal finance perspective, over time your expenditure will grow.
Yep.
What is worrying is if your expenditure is growing on gambling or takeout or black tax, as opposed to things that grow you and help you, So it's like, it makes sense. But go on, Eric. I was going to ask him from now a public finance perspective. Hey, some of these fixes that are specific to young people.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how you can, we talk about young people a lot, but it's a nation of 50+ million people from all sectors. Are there fixes that work from a public finance perspective that would greatly enhance the livelihoods of young people? And I don't just mean like plaster solutions, real solutions.
Well, first of all, I mean, what he said, to answer your question, I've been talking about performative governance a lot. And I think also we are the ones who demand that a lot as a people. That's why I said, they offer what we are asking for.
Yeah.
They answer our question.
Yeah, they answer our question. So if we ask for impact, if we ask for impact, and I think also there's a question of now. There's usually that aspect of now. I want it now.
Yeah.
You don't think about in the next 10 years how is this going to affect me? How countries like China in the past 15 years they were not where they were. But there are certain decisions that are made that have changed the economic situation of China. So sometimes we fall prey to impatience and wanting things in the moment without really asking for impactful things. To go to your question, Mariam, I think we are in a different, for youths, we are in a different generation, and we have different needs currently. We're in digital spaces where we want to have education, but not just normal education. We want to have skill-based education, where we have people who are being taught the skills that can be easily monetized.
Right.
That
the market wants.
Yes,
and needs.
that speaks to the market. Because this is one thing I've seen that I really don't like about the current government is that we are trying to export people, but not for ICT jobs or not for meaningful industrial jobs. Want them to go and become households and drivers, and that's very alarming, because the world right now, we have countries like Canada who are asking for nurses, they're asking for people to run their industries, and we need to offer that to the world. If we are creating jobs outside the country, then we need to put more money into education and coming up with TVET. I'm not saying the government has not done it. I've seen the government has tried to put up TVET institutions and try to speak about it, and also try to encourage the spirit of saving. And in that, it truncates to, entrepreneurship and getting credit. There's also the aspect of, the KBA. When we started, you were saying about KBA meeting the threshold.
Yes.
Access to credit. There's been a recent concern about Shylocks and these apps that give people loans and ballooning interest.
Very true.
Someone asks for 10,000, they're being told you need to pay 100,000, which is nonsensical. So things like that.
10 times in interest.
Yes. So we need such kind of protection from the government, from people who would want to take advantage of people who are ambitious. Because if you have that kind of a situation and you had an idea, you will not go through with it. You're going to obviously double down and want to get employment because it's very secure.
Very true.
And we want people to be innovative. We want people to be daring. So things like that, access to credit, lower interest rates, they're going to boost our economic lives. Yeah.
They'll tell you that was what Hustler Fund was for.
I've only been able to access 700 of Hustler funds. So what would I do with 700? Ulilipa. I've paid like thrice, expecting it to balloon. It's just 700. Yeah.
I think the whole issue of the Hustler Fund, though, and I was telling Eliodoro the other day, the messaging that they give us about Hustler Fund, I think they lost their own idea for it initially.
I thought it was a really good idea.
Because it was meant to make sure that Eric borrows, because Eric does not have any other way of creating a credit history. It is just for creating credit history and giving you a good score. Then they introduce you to the formal financial sector, those banks and the MSMEs that they are lending to, then now you're able to borrow from the MSME side of the commercial banks. But it is not that Eric, Hustler Fund should be now operating as a bank.
Eric, the way the president sold it, this was my fix to credit.
I knew I was going to start a business immediately.
Absolutely.
So there's a whole mix of communication of it. And
okay, wait, quick one.
Yes.
When you say it was meant to be to help give you a credit rating and build your credit so that you have access to now this mainstream financial sector, where are you getting that from? Because my knowledge of Hustler Fund is from the president and how he sold it. And that was its access to credit, sustainable credit for hustlers.
Yes, and that's where I also got it from. So the whole idea is that we have very many people who are not able to access credit. And the hustler is the micro enterprise. Okay, so the micro enterprise, I'm going to give you an example of, let's call her Mama Njeri. Mama Njeri is in Kimana. She sells mboga, some eggs here, miwa, all those things. So she has a stall by the roadside. Every morning, Mama Njeri goes to Mama Eric's shamba. She picks skuma, managu, kunde, what's there? A pawpaw here today, avocado, and so on, and she takes to her stall.
Right.
She will pay half to Mama Eric and tell Mama Eric, when I sell, I'm going to bring the other. So she does that. The way her income is, she's not able to go to a bank, even to bank. She may operate a bank account, but it's not for much. So the bank does not know her. Right. Meaning that the bank doesn't have any credit history of this particular person. The bank doesn't know you. The bank cannot lend you because it considers you risky. So this woman will never be able to go to a bank to borrow money to expand her business. But doesn't mean that she's financially zero.
No.
She's borrowing from Mama Eric and paying. Mama Eric can actually swear an affidavit and say, she's a very good borrower. She pays. This woman belongs to several table banking merry-go-rounds. There's a daily one, a weekly one, a monthly one. She contributes. In fact, she's a treasurer in some. She's a chairperson in the other. She's very good with money and managing people's money. And holding money and giving people their money. Those ones can attest and say she is very good with money. She is never late with contributing and so on and so forth. You see, this is credit history. But there is no formal way of taking anywhere this. Hustler Fund was supposed to be this one avenue that then brings Mama Njeri, come and borrow. The money that you're using to pay Mama Eric, come and borrow it at less than 10% interest. Pay within 14 days, 21 days. and keep doing that.
Right.
What we are doing is, first of all, we've removed, if you had borrowed anything from the micro lenders, we have removed it from the CRB. So let's start your credit history afresh.
Yeah.
Using this record that we are building for you, we shall show the CRB that you are good. And now you shall start building a positive credit score, which means that if you go to a bank, they will see that you have a positive credit score with CRB, and they can start treating you as such. So the next phase for that should have been, once you've brought in all these people and they're building positive credit scores, let's also encourage them to use the other places to build their credit score, to start saving or interacting with the bank account. Your business, start saving, putting your business money with the bank, so the bank now has your information, and so on and so forth. Graduate them, so they can now go to a bank and say, I am so and so. Hustler Fund is my guarantor. They can guarantee that I am a good borrower. I'm worthy of being given credit. So then you get into that formal system. And from there, you shall go from micro to small to medium by accessing credit. You see?
Idea versus core ground, Eric. Idea versus core ground. Because I promise you, maybe 5% of Kenyans knew that that was what Hustler Fund was meant to be. If people knew that this was a platform to build my credit, to help me access larger loans from the financial sector itself, we would not have the default rate of Hustler Fund that we do have. People would not take that first 500 bob and just disappear, which is, I think, what a lot of people did. But it also speaks to our behavior as well, because it's almost like you think it's free money, from government.
That's our money. But I think from hearing what Erica said, the challenge with that is, all the information that you're talking about is data that needs to be accessible to the government so that they can make the right decision. So, that kind of information, when you're saying it in the sense of one person, it's very easy to really follow that trail, that he has this charmer and that and that and that. But when you're talking about millions, it becomes a menace for the government to plan. I traveled to Rwanda, I think last year, and I was being told how it's the most the country with the most insurance, health insurance for everybody, and the government there has tried to have all the key information about people, their financing, their livelihoods,
source of income,
and all that, so that it's easier for the government to make decisions that really have more impact. Now with that credit thing, we have data protection laws nowadays, and we have questions about our privacy. Accessing, we do a lot of mobile money transfers, and people are very skeptical about government accessing our M-Pesa transactions, statements. And those are things that can speak to how good we are with money, how we manage money, the kind of, your bank, you might have never had 500, but when you look 500,000, but when I look at your M-Pesa transaction, you've transacted more than $1 million in a month. And that's something that you can sell to the bank and tell them, this is me. This is a revenue that goes through my number, and you can lend. So, I mean, it's a good plan, but also we need to have fixes for that. There's no problem that cannot be fixed. Nowadays, people come up with apps that get all your information, systems that can take up all this information. And I think that's what we offer the new generation. Some of us are really good with tech. And that's what the government needs to engage.
Capitalize on that.
Yeah. We have a problem here. Help us solve it.
We're wrapping up. Final question. Given that we've threaded how these problems are very systemic, very personal, very all of this, has your scorecard changed over the last hour, or it remains at 4/10?
No, I think I'm sticking to 4/10 because for me, what I will give the president is that he has a good message. He's talking about serving, he's talking about ICT. The messaging is good. But how is the implementation? And what is the impact of that implementation? Because if you're having scandals, if you're having daily tragedies, we're asking you questions. The sense of accountability in your regime is very questionable.
Yeah.
Then we really even question the message. It feels like you just copy pasted that from somewhere else and said. So, I mean, like you said, it's the CBC way. There's potential here.
Yeah, approaching expectations.
Yes,
approaching.
To be honest, there's potential, and I think within the next 2 years, I hope that obviously we have a problem of trying to perform because we want to be re-elected, and the problem with that is we're going to balloon. We'll borrow too much.
Too many things.
Sawa. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tekin. It's been wonderful having you. Of course, that was a youth perspective into Ruto at 3 at Scorecard. We have to wrap up the show now, but Winnie and Sylvia will be in studio. They, of course, Sylvia. Why do I always do that? Winnie and Mary will be in studio with you in just a minute for Your World. They're talking about behind the mask, imposter syndrome. How do we deal with it behind the mask? And they have a few guests, including a mental fitness coach, a psychologist, and a self-mastery coach. So listen in. Winnie na Mary wanakuja sahi. Hashtag continues to be Fixing the Nation on TV. Keep the conversation going online. We'll be back here again from 6 to 10 a.m. From myself and, of course, Eric Latif. And Jana will be joining us tomorrow. Asanteni.